two. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test. Test 1 2. Test. Test 1 2. 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 Test. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test. Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
Test. Test.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. Test.
Good evening. My proverbial gavel here. Welcome. This is the business meeting of Township High School District 214 Board of Education for Thursday, December 12th, 2024. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Dustling, Fiorito, Heineman, Palmer, Rauch, Walker, Kreutzer.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Before we stand for the pledge, I'd like to call up Dr. Hubbard, principal of Wheeling High School.
Good evening and welcome. My name is Brad Hubbard, and I'm super proud to be the principal at Wheeling High School. And prior to the pledge tonight, we have an opportunity to recognize a group of students and staff members from Wheeling for something that they've done that's been significant for our school. And after a 6-year hiatus, through the passion and the vision of a couple of staff members, through the incredible leadership of some student leaders, and through the vulnerable and really engaging participation of student volunteers, this year Wheeling High School brought back Snowball for the first time, which was an incredible event that happened a few weeks ago. And it's my honor and pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Greg Wallace, one of our staff sponsors, who is going to introduce some students that made Snowball happen at Wheeling, and then we will lead you in the pledge. So thank you for being here, and here's Dr. Wallace.
Good evening, everybody, and thanks for inviting us to say a little bit about our program. I'm Greg Wallace, and I'm honored to be one of the faculty sponsors of Operation Snowball at Wheeling High School, joined, of course, with my co-sponsor, Svetlana Fastovskaya, who's at an AVID conference in Dallas right now, along with our assistant principal, Angela Hawkins. Operation Snowball, at its core, is a drug and alcohol prevention program founded on the principle that if I make a positive impact on you, it empowers you to make a positive impact on others, and the effect builds just like a snowball rolling down a hill. But for Wheeling High School, Operation Snowball is so much more. Snowball is a chance for us to reinforce the positive relationships that make Wheeling Wildcats who we are. Our November 2nd retreat was a day of motivational speakers, team building, personal stories, acceptance, growth, and personal affirmation. It brought together 80 Wheeling teens on a Saturday morning from 8 a.m. till 10 p.m., over 30 Wheeling staff members, 13 Wheeling alumni, as well as community volunteers from the Wheeling Police Department and Omni Youth Services. It was truly a celebration of how positivity can transform the hallways of Wheeling High School. Enough from me. Let's hear what our students and our faculty participant has to say.
So my name is Nikki Pusakis. I'm a staff member at Wheeling High School. And to keep it brief, I am incredibly grateful that I got to be part of something so special. I always tell my students that there is a time and a place for everything. And Snowball was most certainly the time and the place to make some really, really incredible and meaningful relationships. I could be up here all day, but I think it's even more important to see what the students have to say from a teacher perspective. I didn't know many of these students. I teach freshmen. They're mostly upperclassmen. But now I get to see some students that I never knew before, and I know them now. There are staff members that I didn't know before that I know now. And probably the greatest part is just hearing what all the students have to say weeks later, how much they enjoyed it, and how much they're looking forward to it next year. So that's my two pieces.
Hi, my name is Aiden Zha. I'm from Wheeling High School, and I'm a student leader of the Operation Snowball. And I'll say Operation Snowball was a little retreat session at the school, which was led by students and then made by students, which was really new experience at our school that I've never experienced before. And it taught me how to accept my mistake and forgive myself. And that I know that everybody around me support each other and feel the bonding together, which taught me really great lesson to be myself. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sharon Escamilla. One thing that I learned from our Operation Snowball was that we are mostly more often in our phones that socializing with people mostly. One thing that I see every day is that friends being in tables, being on there talking with other people, they're on their phones, which really for Operation Snowball was really different. When I got there, I was really nervous. I was a little bit scared, and it changed the perspective that I see every day, which was we collaborated a lot with each other, and we spent time together. We made memories, really pretty memories I would like to make with other people for next year. And I feel that this Operation Snowball was a change for me and for the people that participated. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ayana Solaka, and I have the privilege of being a snowball leader, but as well as about a year ago, last year, I was also a participant at Prospects Snowball, and this was during a time of my life where I felt really alone. At this time, my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and so that kind of thing is a very heavy burden to deal with on your own. During this time, I was also experiencing loss of friendships as well, having the responsibility of being an older sister, and then also dipping grades. And it was my junior year, so there was a lot going on in terms of how high the stakes were with college coming the following year. And so when I attended Snowball at Prospect, it kind of gave me this vessel to open up and kind of talk about all these struggles with people that I don't really know, which kind of gave me a sense of comfort. And so with that experience, I was able to help other people open up at our Snowball at Wheeling. And I think creating a safe space for others is very important in a school environment. And I'm glad I could provide that, and I was provided with it as well. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ariel Losner, and I'm a senior at Wheeling High School, and I had the distinct privilege of being a snowball leader. And I'll probably remember the day we did Operation Snowball for the rest of my life, because For one, it was the day after college applications were due, so I was completely mentally drained. And I also had an SAT on the same day before the Operation Snowball event, so by the time I got to Snowball, I was just completely drained. But despite that, I still decided to show up, and I think it was definitely a good decision on my part because not only did I have the opportunity to be a leader and guide others toward discovering themselves and helping themselves find their identity, but I think at its core, Operation Snowball is not only, as Dr. Wallace said, something to help prevent against drug use, but it's also a great opportunity to have authentic human connection. And in this world of social media, I think those opportunities are few and far between. So, like it was said, not having your phones for the entire day and going through that whole experience was certainly transcendental. And it's really helped me, not only as a leader, but also everyone else who was there, to really be able to be vulnerable, be able to talk with one another and listen to each other instead of just sticking with the same old, same old. So when it comes down to it, I think such opportunities are great for every participant really to find themselves and really know themselves. So I would just say that we should definitely have more of these opportunities in the years to come. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Erica Punzalan. I'm a senior at Wheeling High School. Like everyone said, Operational Snowball is a great opportunity for everyone to just do it in their life. If I could describe Operational Snowball in one word, I would say it's very impactful. As we all know, Wheeling is a relatively smaller community, but that doesn't mean you know everyone. What Operational Snowball does is that it allows you to meet people you know or you don't know and gain a better understanding of them in a really different way. And it's crazy how in one day, for like 12 hours, you get to do like all these bizarre activities and ask like these crazy questions, and at the end of the day, you just feel like you're all family with one another. So if I could really promote Operational Snowball, I feel like every D214 school should have Operational Snowball because it's gonna build a really great community within that school. And now, can everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, well, students are exiting the stage. We started this practice this school year where we highlight one of the schools, and tonight, of course, was Wheeling High School. But thank you. Appreciate it. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda for tonight, December 12th. Can I have a motion and a second, please? There's been a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Fiorito, Heineman, Dessling, Rauch, Walker, and Kreutzer.
Aye, thank you. Can I have approval for the business meeting of November 14th, 2024? Open and closed. Motion and a second, please. There's been a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Dessling, Heineman, Fiorito, Rauch, Walker, Kreutzer.
Aye. Can I have a motion and a second for the special meeting of December 2nd, 2024? Been a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Dessling, Heineman, Fiorito, Rauch, Walker, Kreutzer.
Aye. Thank you. Next on the agenda is recognition of the Board of Education. Dr. Rowe?
All right, a few times a year we get together and celebrate some of our students' tremendous success across our building. So Mr. Maggi is going to guide us through as we celebrate some of our outstanding accomplishments from our kids this year.
Thank you, Dr. Rowe. Would Vice President Walker please join us up on stage? Students, as I call your name or group, please come up along with the principal and coach or advisor. After you received your certificate, please remain standing up here for photos. Okay, first up, will Life students Jesus Aguilar Mora, Faith Hack, Christopher Schultz, Peter Steinberg, and Kevin Sturkey. The Academy at Forest View's Louis Borowski. And Hersey's William Pocklington. And Maximilian Soltis. Unable to attend is Tony Tatali from Prospect High School. District 214 Special Olympics had 2 teams competing in the state floor hockey competition sponsored by the Chicago Blackhawks in Bedford Park. The games were filled with energy, talent, and sportsmanship. In the first matchup against the Wells Warriors, it was a close battle, ending with a score of 16-13. In the second game against the Cause Comets, strong teamwork and defense led the District 214 Falcons to a gold medal victory with a score of 9-3. Congratulations to the team and coach Jim Raby. We good? Okay. All right. Golfer Courtney Beerhide from Buffalo Grove High School couldn't join us tonight, but she had an incredible season. After earning medals at the IHSA regional and sectional tournaments, Courtney competed at the IHSA state finals at Hickory Point Golf Course in Forsyth this October. On day 1, she tied the single-day IHSA record with a remarkable 5 under 67. By the end of day 2, Courtney secured 3rd place in the state, improving on her 4th place finish from last year. Congratulations to Courtney and her coach, Jeff Greibash. Will Hersey's Colton Gamino and prospects Nate Sicky and Noah Easter please come up? Each year, the Champaign News-Gazette and the Illinois High School Football Coaches Association recognize the top football talent in Illinois. The News Gazette selects 33 standout players for its all-state team, while the IHS FCA names all-state teams by playoff classification, honoring 22 players per class. This year, Nate Sitchie and Colton Gamino earned spots on the News Gazette's prestigious team, and Noah Easter was named to the Class 7A All-State team by the IHS FCA. Colton Gamino has been Hershey's starting quarterback for the past 3 years. Colton threw for 2,265 yards and 20 touchdowns this season, as well as rushing for 668 yards with 13 rushing touchdowns. We are excited to see what his future holds as he heads to UCLA next year to play football. Nate had an outstanding season with 47 catches, 950 yards, and 14 touchdowns, earning first-team MSL East All-Conference honors. He excels academically with a 4.44 GPA and actively participates in our community service events. Noah was a standout player on and off the field throughout his high school career. As a senior, Noah rushed for 1,315 yards and 21 touchdowns on his way to being named All-Conference, All-State, and MSL East Offensive Player of the Year. Noah is an excellent student with a 4.43 weighted GPA. He has also served his community by volunteering his time working with our youth football programs. Congratulations, Colton, Nate, Noah, and coaches Tom Nelson and Dan DeBuff. Next up, we have the Hershey boys soccer team. If you would please hold your applause until all students are up on stage. First off, we have Akram Alividinov, Johnny Atanu, Leon Burke, Meshach Bryant, Adam Bugaj, Yurik Kontla, Owen Devine, Joe Farrell, Dari Kishak, Jacob Kazaria, Casper Lekowitz, Nate Mabry, Daniel Mazurshak, Adam Waslinski, Diego Ortiz, Ray Reyes, Teddy Reyes, Nick Vandemark, students Jimmy Katsaros, Alex Matura, George Pascos, and Adrian Smeskowski could not be here this evening. This remarkable team, led by a dedicated group of seniors, made history by securing Hershey's first ever state soccer championship. Along the way, they set new school records for most shutouts in a season, 13, and the most wins in a season, 19. Adrian Smeskowski and Ray Reyes earned prestigious all-state honors, while Nate Mabry and Casper Lekowitz received all-sectional recognition. Above all, this team embodied the true spirit of unity, always supporting one another and showing what it means to play as a cohesive unit. Congratulations, Hershey boys soccer team. Coach Michael Rusniak, and all of the Hersey soccer coaching staff. Congratulations. Rolling Meadows Christian Jablonski, Alex Kochbinski, and Marceli Okonski were unable to attend tonight, but they also earned well-deserved all-state honors for soccer this year. Their achievements are a testament to their hard work and dedication, and they have represented Rolling Meadows High School with excellence at the state level. Congratulations, Christian, Alex, Marceli, and Coach Brett Olson. Will Prospects Veronica Zenaida please join us? Veronica Zenaida from Prospect High School achieved an impressive third place at the 2024 IHSA 3A Cross Country State Championship. Competing on November 9th against 235 athletes, she earned all-state honors for the second time in her cross-country career. This marked a significant improvement from her sixth place finish in 2022. Veronica completed the race just 1.5 seconds away from breaking the school record. Congratulations to Veronica and Coach Pete Wintermuth. Ella Houston from Buffalo Grove High School is unable to be here tonight, but her achievements this year speak for themselves. She capped off an outstanding junior swim season by finishing second in the state in the 500 freestyle. Throughout the season, Ella claimed both the sectional and MSL championships in the event, while also breaking the previous school record. This marks her second all-state finish in the 500 freestyle. Congratulations to Ella and her coach, Michael McPartland. Will Prospect High School Xander Atkins, Maddie Bronder, Amanda Feinberg, Sarah George, Amelia Maslowski, Dylan May, Molly Munt, and Stella Palm. Please join us on stage. More than 1,300 students competed in the National Student Media Contest at the JEA NSPA National Journalism Convention in Philadelphia in November, and only 92 of them were given the ultimate honor of a superior rating. Incredibly, Prospect had 7 of them. Junior Xander Atkins for commentary writing, senior Maddie Bronder in yearbook copy caption writing sports, sophomore Sarah George in yearbook copy caption academics, junior Dylan May for review writing, seniors Amelia Maslowski and Molly Munt in broadcast feature, senior Amanda Feinberg in feature writing, and junior Stella Palm for newspaper layout. Incredibly, Amanda, Molly, Amanda, and Stella were all the only ones in the nation in their categories to earn a superior rating, making them the best in the country at what they do. Additionally, the Prospector was voted the 10th best large school newspaper in the country in the annual NSPA Best of Show competition, a great team award for the Prospect Journalism Program. Congratulations to all the members of the night media program and their advisors, Jason Block and Nicole Stoltz. Good. All right. Okay, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lenny Walker. I serve as the Vice President on the Board of Education for D214. We have a little ceremony that we always give. We're very proud of all the students and their achievements. And I'm especially glad to be up here. You know, my kids went through Wheeling. I have 4 kids that graduated over 10 years in the building. I'll have to tell you, the pride that goes into that Operation Snowball is unbelievable. My son was a leader for a couple of the years, and it changed his life. When you talk about becoming vulnerable in a safe place, that's what it's all about, and I think you heard it through all the voices of the students here. So if you have the opportunity, take advantage of it. It will change their life going through school and making them more confident going through everything. Now, we talk about everybody else in the room, all the student athletes, great achievements. It's unbelievable what you do for the community, and I hope everybody realizes that. Everybody gets behind you. It's a proud moment for everybody here in your schools and across 214. So don't take that lightly. If you graduate this year, feel free to come back. We always welcome to see alumni come back in here, and we welcome you with open arms. One thing we do always, we know it doesn't happen by itself. So if we can have the parents, the grandparents, the siblings of the kids stand up, if you would, please. We'd like to give everybody a round of applause. We know there's a lot of navigating, a lot of arguments in the car, a lot of I don't want to talk about it on the way home. We all know how that goes. But the plain and simple fact is family is important. And if we're lucky enough to have a family, thank you for supporting everybody. And remember, we're all part of the 214 family. Thanks for being here tonight.
Thank you. That concludes the student recognition portion of the meeting. We're going to take a few minutes to go back in the boardroom. You're all welcome to come to our board meeting if you like. But take care, and if you celebrate a holiday, happy holidays, and wish you the best in the new year. Thank you. Going to reconvene the board meeting. Call the roll, please.
Dessling.
Here.
Fiorito.
Here.
Heineman.
President.
Rauch. Walker.
Here.
And Kreutzer.
Here. Next on the agenda is our public hearing for the tax levy. It is 7:36 p.m. The public hearing for the 2024 tax levy is now open. The hearing provides an opportunity for the public to address the Board of Education regarding the 2024 tax levy. Mr. Keeley, could you please provide a brief overview?
Yes, good evening, Madam President. We are here to, as you said, do a brief overview. We discussed the estimated levy at the November board meeting, and we're here to look at the final levy through this 2024 tax levy truth and taxation hearing. As you can see, here's our timeline. We are here at December 12th at the decision point and final approval of the levy, and pending board approval this evening, we will file it with the county before the end of the calendar year. We did go over the importance of the levy last month. 91% of our revenue is coming through local sources. Within that, the property tax revenue funds 82% of our expenditure budget. And then, as we discussed last time, the levy is split up into 2 installments that does touch 2 fiscal years. The board had asked last month about the collections for 2023, so we added this slide to illustrate the levy request versus the actual extension for the 2023 levy. And as you can see, what we had requested, slightly less than what was extended. Essentially what happens is the county will then look at our actual assessed value and the actual new property, and then provide us a loss and collections factor to ensure that we achieve the full levy due to us. And then on the debt service levy, they put a 5% loss factor on that, on top of what our debt service schedule calls for. And again, our known and unknown variables, we know our prior year extension and the CPI from December of the prior year, and that's a rolling 12-month CPI. And then our unknowns are the assessed value and then the new property that the assessor will provide. Our assumptions, again, as a review, 3.4% CPI, Consumer Price Index from December of 2023. Our new property at $98 million, and that's a little bit higher than our 5-year average because we do have that one TIF from Wheeling rolling off, and that's going to provide about an estimate of about $18 million of additional value into our total assessed value. And then we bake in an estimated change to the existing AV of 3% negative, so it's a 3% decrease. And this is according to our historical figures as we look at our triennial assessment. Typically, rolling into that triennial, we see a bit of a back down of those values. As required by PA 102-0895, we're providing our pre-audit fund balances again from our general ledger. We have our friends from Baker Tilly here tonight with the audited figures, but for consistency's sake, we're providing the same figures we did in the last presentation. And again, our final tax levy request, there's no change from what we showed you last month. Again, we are increasing the transportation significantly to keep up with transportation costs and make sure that that fund balance remains solid. And overall, we're looking at a 4.3% increase for our cap funds, and then a slight decrease on the debt service, but again, that's according to our debt service schedule. There's a new one this year. Public Act 103-0394 requires us to disclose our operating cash reserves. So the operating funds, as defined by ISB, are the Ed Fund, Operation and Maintenance, and Transportation Fund. And essentially what this test is doing is it's looking at our 3 years average of expenditures in those funds and saying, do you have over 2.5 times of those average expenditures in fund balance? And as you can see, we're at about half, 50%, so we do not exceed that. If we did, we'd have to also provide a fund balance reduction plan to the community. So the next steps, later in the meeting, during the action items, we will ask for the board to approve the tax levy, and again, we'll bring it to the county by the end of the month. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Since this is the public hearing, ask if anyone wishes to address the board regarding the tax levy. We will be discussing it later on when we take the vote, but no one has signed up to talk about the tax levy. So, if there's no one else who wishes to address the board regarding the tax levy, this concludes the public hearing for the 2024 tax levy for Township High School District 214 at 7:41 p.m. She said we'll take action later on this evening. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Keeley. Next on the agenda is public comments, and we do have two people that have signed up. Before I call the first person, let me read this. The Board of Education and the district value comments from the community at our meetings as well as emails. We appreciate everyone appearing before the board and treat all with courtesy and respect. The Board of Education asks each person to please limit all of their comments to 3 minutes. However, several people want to address the board on similar topics. The board president may limit the time to 2 minutes per person. The public comment agenda item will be the only time that the Board of Education will hear public comments during the meeting. Although comments may be made on almost any matter related to the operation of schools, comments will not be allowed identifying individual students or staff members. As this is the Board of Education business meeting, the board practice is not to respond to public questions or comments at this time because this is not an open-ended forum. However, we do listen carefully. If requested, a written response will be provided. Please ensure that Ms. Keys has your full name and address on the sign-up sheet. To be fair and consistent to addressing the board, the same protocols and procedures must be in place for everyone. On the podium, the green light indicates your time has started, the yellow indicates 30 seconds remaining, and the red light indicates 3 minutes have expired. Would Mr. Keith Mowens, I hope I'm saying that right, please come to the podium.
Thank you, President Kreitzer.
Thank you.
My name is Keith Moons. I live in Arlington Heights. We put all our kids through 25 and 214, so it was great to see this assembly tonight. And it reminds me of how high caliber students we have coming through here. And with that in mind, I come tonight to ask that the school board vote no to approve of the upcoming memorandum of understanding. In my view, the school districts are essentially getting nothing by approving that MOU, but lower tax revenues. I mean, kickstarting economic, traffic, and impact studies does not really pay for many books around here today. So far, I've yet to hear anything about the estimated revenue loss to our school districts when this MOU will be approved tonight. The Bears are going to pay 40% of last year's tax bill at 10% rather than a 25% assessment, President Kreitzer, which is common. The 25% is common for commercial standards in Cook County. If no development occurs by a certain date, their assessed value will only increase by the CPI, 2 to 5%. I wish my property could be treated this way. The project is deemed financially infeasible without local tax subsidies, and the pilot program has not yet been approved, and that leaves TIFs only at this point. And we all know how those turn out. Our taxes go way up to subsidize those TIFs. This MOU was negotiated behind closed doors by village staff since at least August of 2023, before it was rubber stamped by the Village Board of Trustees on Monday. In my opinion, this whole process appears to be the Bears wrangling, the loser Bears, I like to call them recently, wrangling for a much lower tax bill out here while they continue to try to work out a deal to and to stay in Chicago. So I ask you again to please vote no on this MOU tonight, and let's put the education and funding of our educators as much as possible to get the types of students we saw tonight first. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next is Mr. Craig Horwitz.
Trustees, that is my property taxes from 1988 through the present. It's small. If you want a better copy of it, I'll be glad to give it to you. I wish more residents had something like that. They would be probably enraged. Craig Horowitz, Buffalo Grove. My comments tonight are on the MOU. I've been tracking the ongoings of this property, of the old Arlington Heights racetrack, that the board tonight is going to consider a resolution. And I've read the MOU. I moved into my house and my property taxes were $1,800. They've reached over $7,000. Let it be known that every reassessment, I appeal my property taxes to the CCA Board of Review and PTAB. Even though I routinely show 15 comps of lower building AV, I received no relief from any of those entities in the last 5 years. My building AV has risen over 40% in 2 years alone. With a show of hands, I wonder how many people's incomes have risen 40% in the last 2 years. I didn't think so. I've read on page C4 this document that you're going to consider tonight. And it says a TIF will be insufficient for stadium development. I then read on C7, it says, estimate of TIF for residential development. Now, I know full well what TIFs are. Buffalo Grove is building our second town center with a TIF. It built the first town center with a TIF. I asked the board if it ever comes in front of you, because tonight's resolution has nothing to do with a TIF, but it's in the documentation. And I asked this board, if you ever are approached with a TIF, I ask you not to approve it. And here's why. I've used this many times. This basically signifies that whenever government wants more money, what you do is you turn on the money faucet, and out it comes from people like me and you and you. I'm not interested in supporting a private enterprise, which I don't know what the numbers are, but I believe the Bears are in the top 10 in terms of value in the NFL. But more to the point, I'm not interested in subsidizing a private enterprise. And I hope that this board, if it ever comes to a TIF, remembers the money faucet. Enough's enough. And I hope to get some resolution and feedback of C7, because it's concerning to me. And apparently it was concerning to him too. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That is all that had signed up for public comments. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Rowe.
All right, thank you, President Kreutzer. I've got a few things this evening I'd like to highlight, and I'm actually glad he's here because I wasn't sure he was going to make it, but I am pleased to share with you all that Jeff Wardle, principal of Buffalo Grove High School, has been named IPA North Cook Principal of the Year. Absolutely. Jeff will be honored, and it will be honored, and is in the running to be named Illinois Principal of the Year at a banquet in the spring. I want to congratulate him and support his work by acknowledging his tremendous impact on the learning and working environments at BG. He's established a great building culture and is focused on students and fostering innovation. He is so well deserving of this honor, and I'm proud he is on our team, and I congratulate him on his recognition. It's well deserved, Jeff. Congratulations. Next this evening, I'd like to update on our strategic plan. Last night, we held our final in-person strategic plan steering committee. We reviewed key elements of District 214 strategic plan, guided by extensive stakeholder feedback gathered through surveys, presentations, and these meetings that we just had last night. Parents, students, and staff and community members have shared valuable insights, including positive reactions to the student-centered and innovative approaches guiding the plan. The survey is still open, so I encourage everyone to check out the dedicated website on District 214's website to the strategic plan and take an opportunity to share your thoughts and help us shape the future of District 214. In the coming months, we'll develop a detailed implementation plan with clear metrics and milestones to track our progress. The feedback we received last night will play a crucial role in refining our strategies and ensuring that our vision really meets the needs of our students, staff, and community. I think everyone has taken the time to take the survey that's impacting the work, and I look forward to presenting the final plan to the board later in the school year. And then finally this evening, I want to share some more great news. We are very proud to share that all 6 of District 214's high schools have earned recognition with Advanced Placement Honor Roll. The achievements reflects the commitment to expanding access of AP courses and supporting student success. It's a testament to the hard work of our students, tremendous staff, and leadership providing equitable, rigorous learning opportunities for our students. Nationally, just over 5,000 high schools were honored this year, demonstrating the value of AP programs, preparing students for college and accelerating their path towards graduation. We're excited to continue creating opportunities for our students who are excited and excelling, earning college credit while still in high school. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rowe. Next on the agenda is board member updates. Mr. Walker, would you like to start?
Just have a couple announcements. The District 214 is looking for industry partners to mentor student interns. This is a great opportunity to bring fresh ideas to the team, tackle important projects, and connect with motivated young talent. If you're ready to partner with us, visit D214.org. You can find the sign-up form on our homepage. Second and last announcement from me would be the registration is now open for community ed, winter and spring classes. Whether you're looking to learn something new, stay active, or connect with your community, we have something for everyone. To sign up, go to ce.d214.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Dustin?
This is a great time of year for fine arts, concerts, plays. I've attended a number of them over the last week or so. Prospects was last Sunday. Hershey's had one last Sunday also. Holiday concerts, music at Wheeling, before play at the Grease at Hershey. It's amazing to see the talent musically on the plays, choral. You really have to get to see these, and there's more that are coming up over this weekend and up through when we actually stop for the holidays. So I've enjoyed it tremendously, and credit all the staff that have really put together in a very short period of time a number of things that have to take place, specifically when we've got finals going on right before the holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Heineman, anything?
Just a big thank you for the privilege to attend the IASB conference the weekend before Thanksgiving. Lots of things to learn, lots of people to see. Really gets you motivated a little more. And then also last night I was here for the strategic planning meeting, and again, that has been a wonderful experience. I'm really anxious to see what we end up with. It's been a lot of fun so far. Thanks.
I'm glad you said it was a lot of fun. Ms. Rauch, do you have anything?
Just a reminder along the lines of, partners working with us that affords students opportunities for internships. So those are open through the next month, I believe, and I strongly encourage, having had my own son have an internship, and I think it really prepared him well to go to college and get an internship there as well. Along the lines of what Mr. Dustling had to say, yes, great fine arts program. Saw BG's orchestra on WGN this week, so it's great to see that not only locally, but a little broadly, that our students are recognized, because it really is a great community for fine arts here. And yes, plenty of plays. BG did 12 Angry Jurors, so nice opportunities to have some culture here. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fiorito.
I'll start with, I was a judge at the newbie DECA contest at Elk Grove High School on November 21st, and I know there was some members of our audience that were also judges. It was a great event. It was very impressive to see these kids all dressed up and presenting their goals and also their proposals. It was really very interesting. Next is the NSSEO update. I've been pretty much sending the updates after the meetings. I hope you guys get a chance to take a look at it. You're always welcome to ask any questions. Like us tonight, they had their audit review They talked a little bit about their strategic plan as well, and they have a big professional development day of learning, which is set for January 6th at various sites. They have well over, right now I heard it's almost up to 1,200 attendees are expected, with 25 to 27 sessions scheduled, which is pretty incredible. Last but not least, I'll make an offer to everybody sitting at this table that I will be at Wheeling High School on December 23rd for the annual Wheeling Boys Basketball Hardwood Classic. I'll be working the concession stand in the morning through lunchtime, so if anybody wants to stop by, and I will certainly buy them a donut or a piece of pizza. That's all I have.
Thank you. I'm going to be brief tonight. I'm the District 214 delegate for the Illinois Association School Board Delegate Assembly, which took place on November 23rd, 2024. The Illinois School Board Association received 19 resolutions, of which 13 were considered, 3 were had a do not present, and 3 were appealed. 429 delegates approved the following: accepted the financial report, we're in the best shape we've ever been, approved the delegate assembly rules, and approved Tracy Sayre and Mark Harms as vice president and president respectively. Items removed from the consent agenda but were approved: the dual language, EBF school funding, and tax increment financing accountability. Items on the consent agenda approved: Faith Law, which is a centralized state agency for employment history review and health care coverage. Delegates amended an existing position regarding polling places. The following do not adopt resolutions were appealed. However, they did not garner the 2/3 required votes to be heard by the delegates: cell phone usage, office of the inspector general, and criminal background checks for school board candidates. And that's the end of my report. Next on the agenda is a discussion item for the annual audit. Mr. Keeley.
Thank you, Madam President. We've got Mike Mallett from Baker Tilly joining us at the podium. He's going to give a very brief but very exciting presentation on the audit. But before we get to that, I do want to recognize Jim Palmer, our comptroller, is here this evening. He is the lead on the audit, and he is a CPA licensed in the state of Illinois, and he's essentially the quarterback for this. So he's the one working with the audit firm to ensure that all of our department information flows through his office, and we meet all our deadlines. I'm going to steal a little Mike's thunder and just say that we were able to accomplish all this earlier than we have, I think, in the last, well, since before the pandemic. So pretty exciting. I'm going to turn it over to Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Tim, and thank you, everybody, for your time this evening. I'll reiterate thanks to Jim and Tim and their team. This year was months earlier than it's been the last few years. You've had a lot of changes in your systems and personnel, and you really have a good group in place that allowed you guys to get back on track in terms of timing of the audit. Made our job a heck of a lot easier this year, so it's been thank you to them. Tim gave me a deadline because he's got a hot date later. No, I'm joking. So I'm going to go a quick overview of the kind of high points. What do we do during the course of the audit? A few big picture items to go over, and then obviously if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me as I'm going here. So first I'm going to talk about each of the deliverable reports. The first is the big report, the annual comprehensive financial report. That is the picture of the district's financial health for the entire fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. All the numbers in there are your numbers. We help you guys put together that report and for the prescribed formats in accordance with accounting standards. But all the numbers are your information that's being presented to the public and use of the financial statements. The only thing coming from us is that independent auditor's report. And what that says, taking it into layman's terms rather than the fun accounting language, is that we're giving an unmodified opinion. And that means we're giving you the highest level of assurance that the information presented in the financial statements is accurate and can be relied upon to make sound business decisions and for users of the financial statements to understand how the district performed during the year, where the financial health is as of June 30th, 2024. We beat up a lot of things to get there. We look at your controls, your processes. We look at your performance related to expectations with your budget process and analyze all that to a pretty significant degree and ask a million questions of these guys to make sure that we have a great understanding of what happened during the year in order to form that opinion. Just a couple of really quick notes on the big report itself. If you're going to focus on any big area, look at the manager's discussion and analysis in the transmittal letter. There are 2 sections at the beginning. They give you that high-level picture of what happened during the year. It's kind of the big bang for your buck, if you will. The rest of the report can get pretty granular and is great to have on your nightstand if you want to fall asleep sometimes. But those 2 I definitely recommend to everybody read, as it gives you the true big picture of what happened during the year. Just a couple quick highlights from the rest of the statements themselves. Just want to note that your funded status for your pensions, the trends are continuing to be improved as investment performance just nationwide and in the pension funds have improved. IMRF in particular, you're in a very healthy position due to the advanced funding you did in prior years. What that means in a dollars and cents standpoint is that you're going to have to provide fewer dollars on a go-forward basis to IMRF to fund that pension, as the investments that you've accumulated in that fund will do the work for you. So that's a great position to be in. So I always like to point that out. IMRF is very healthy in particular, so when you can control your funding a little bit, whereas TRS is very prescribed by the state and really is under their control in terms of how that's being funded. Additionally, I'd like to know your debt margin is incredibly healthy. That's the measurement of your capacity to issue debt. That basically means that you don't have a lot of debt out there for the scope and scale of the district. You're using operating revenues to support operations, which is what you want, and not necessarily going out to the debt market to fund things and have to pay down through interest in the future. There are a couple other quick changes I'd like to point out. There were some internal processes that allow for you to get invoices and bill. We work with contractors a little faster to get some of those costs incorporated in a more timely fashion. So you see this year a little bit of a jump in some of the items like your accounts payable, so pull a little bit of those costs. It might have been something that hit next year into this year, kind of a one-time adjustment as you improve some internal processes. It is an improvement, but you're going to see that reflected if you're looking numbers year over year. Additionally, there was a $20 million transfer from your operations and maintenance fund to your capital projects fund. I know you guys approved that. But that's just indicating that the revenues used, the funding sources used to support capital project initiatives are coming from your operating revenues. You're not going out to the markets to issue debt to support that. That's why you have to make those transfers over. Lastly, overall, it was a strong year. While overall your fund balance decreased about $7 million, that's really driven by a $32 million investment in capital work during the year. If you take that out, you're a pretty healthy surplus across the district for the year. So fiscal year 24 really was a strong financial year from a high level picture there. Outside of the big annual comprehensive financial report, there are a number of different reports we have to issue in conjunction with that. One is ISB's annual financial report. It's a basic regurgitation of your financial information along with a bunch of compliance work we have to do in accordance with ISB's mandate to oversee all school districts in Illinois. The only thing I'd like to point out in there is, one, we gave a clean opinion on that report, and also they provide what's called a financial profile score, which is a measurement of the district's health, and it's a perfect 4.0 out of 4.0, which is excellent. It means the district's in great financial standing, in the eyes of ISB. There's also our work with your federal spending. It's called the single audit. We issue a separate report on that. We basically deep dive not only into how you spend your federal dollars, but also the processes and controls you have in place to ensure that you are in compliance with all the different rules and regulations around federal awards. Not just that you're lucky to be in compliance in a given year, but that you have the structure in place to ensure you're made in compliance in the future. This year, we looked at 2 major significant programs, your ESSER funding, which is your ARPA funding, and also your Title I low-income funding. Those are the 2 programs that came through the rotation this year. The results of our testing resulted in no issues of noncompliance. We also issue another opinion in there related to overall district controls and processes, and we had no findings report in that opinion as well. So kind of a clean bill of health in terms of controls, both from a district-wide standpoint and specifically related to federal award management. Lastly, there is one final report we'll be working with and finalizing. It's a comprehensive consolidated year-end financial report. It is a required report by the Governmental Accountability and Transparency Unit, which is another state agency that requires financial information in just another prescribed format. That was put in place to provide a mechanism for other state agencies other than ISB to have better oversight over the financial performance and reporting of local governments in Illinois that receive funding from other state agencies. It's duplicative for schools because ISB had a great process in place, but you have to do it anyway. So we're working through that final thing. It's always the last step of the process that we do after all the other reports are issued, so we'll be finalizing that. So those are all the different opinions related to your financial information. The one last deliverable is what's called the Audit Results and Insight Letter, which is our communication as an auditor to you as the governing body. That encompasses an assortment of required communications we have to make as part of the audit standards. It basically goes over our responsibilities, your responsibilities as a governing body in the audit process, a big picture of what our audit plan was, any risks we identified, did things go according to plan, and if any issues came up. I like to always say that you want that letter to be really, really boring, because that means things went well. Those letters aren't designed to give you a pat on the back or a high five when the audit went well. It's meant to identify problems. So I'm glad to report that letter is incredibly boring in that we were able to go through our audit. Everything went according to plan. We had no major issues or difficulties within the process. There were no major findings of any variety we identified that we aren't, that we would have to capture in there that may not have been captured anywhere else in the other opinions. So really, ultimately, is the summarization of a strong year, kind of a get back on track, if you will, in a lot of ways from a timer perspective, and kind of reaping the benefits of some of the new systems and processes you put in place, along with having some good folks in place to get things done. So with that, that finishes my prepared remarks. Any questions?
Open it up to the board. Mr. Dustling.
I'm always interested in the auditor's report, specifically under the supplemental information, and I was delighted to see the final statements is all of our supplementary information is fairly stated in all material aspects for the year, and that's always good. That means that we're doing our job, reporting it. The other thing that I found of interest, although I knew that, but in your report, under Roman numeral 10, it lists the locations that we have, all the buildings. And looking at those, and it gets into certainly some of the capital projects we're looking at. We've got buildings, our schools are going from 60 years old to 57 years old, each one of them. And if anybody that owns a house knows that there's roofs that have to be put on, air conditioning, and everything else, and that's what we're experiencing along those lines. I was also delighted to see that since 2010, we have received the highest rating from ISBE as far as financial management of the finances within the district, which is always rewarding to see. But thank you very much for your report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything, Lenny? So a few years ago, the Baker Tilly representative said, I really look forward to reading your report, and I really do, because you see all my tabs here.
I like it. I like it.
No, Kiki, but my questions were answered ahead of time. Thank you, Jim. I really appreciated that, and I really do look forward to reading it. So, anyone else? Okay?
Well, thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, next on the agenda is 12.1. Can I have a motion in a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Before I turn this over to Dr. Rowe, I'd like to say a few remarks here. As someone who's had the privilege of serving on the Board of Education many years, I know that agreements of this magnitude require time, dedication, and steadfast commitment to doing what is best for our students, staff, and schools. Tonight's vote on the Memo of Understanding is a culmination of months of thoughtful negotiation and collaboration between High School District 214, Community Consolidated School District 15, Township High School District 211, the Village of Arlington Heights, and the Chicago Bears Football Club. We understand that the Bears have not yet finalized their decision about Arlington Heights, but this MOU ensures that if and when they do commit to our community, we are prepared to move forward in a way that protects our schools. This agreement reflects our shared belief in the value of partnership and planning, and ensures that our schools will receive the financial resources necessary to support any new students from this development, covering both operational and capital needs. Collaborative funding mechanisms such as payment in lieu of taxes pilot concept will bring fairness and predictability to our budgets. Transparency and accountability will guide every step of the process, ensuring the community's voice is heard and respected. This agreement is a positive framework and a strong commitment to preserving the high standards of education that define District 214.
It ensures that our schools have the resources to support every new student from the redevelopment area and provide exceptional opportunities that prepare them for a successful future. I want to thank Dr. Rowe for his leadership and vision throughout these negotiations. I also want to thank my colleagues at Community Consolidated District 15 and Township High School District 211 for their commitment to this collaborative effort. Together, we have worked to create a framework that reflects the best interest of all of our districts and our communities we serve. To the Village of Arlington Heights, thank you for your leadership in championing a development that holds the promise of economic growth and opportunity. And to the Chicago Bears, we appreciate your willingness to engage as a true partner in this process. We also want to thank the many community members who have shared their perspectives and engaged in this process. Your voices have helped guide our priorities, and your continued involvement will be crucial as we move forward. This MOU is a blueprint for progress and partnership, and I'm excited about the potential future it sets in motion. Dr. Rowe.
Thank you, President Kreutzer. To highlight on top of that, tonight's vote on the Memorandum of Understanding is the culmination of months of thoughtful negotiation and collaboration between District 214, District 15, District 211, the Village of Arlington Heights, and the Chicago Bears Football Club. The document that you are considering this evening reflects our commitment to ensuring that the redevelopment of Arlington Park site is managed to prioritize the long-term interests of our students, schools, and community. It results from months of careful negotiation and collaboration among the three school districts, the Village, and the Chicago Bears. Each organization, whether it be the school districts, Bears, or Village of Arlington Heights, brought their key concerns to the table for the MOU discussion. The school districts consistently sent a common message that was documented in the MOU. That message included full financial support for any new students that may come from any residential development on the property, true voting power for any TIF decision or pilot-like agreements, and a tax agreement that is in line with the most recent Cook County Assessor's Office assessment, which rises between 2 and 5% if there is no completion of stadium building milestones in the next 3 tax years. While the Chicago Bears have yet to commit to Arlington Heights, this agreement reflects our readiness and optimism. It provides a roadmap that balances the opportunities presented by this redevelopment with the protections needed to safeguard our schools and community. I want to thank my colleagues in District 15 and District 211, the Village of Arlington Heights, and the Chicago Bears for their collaboration and dedication throughout the process. Finally, I want to emphasize that the MOU is a foundation. It is not the finish line. It is designed to protect our schools while embracing the opportunities this development could bring. Our primary focus remains in the long-term interests of our students and schools. Now, to provide more detail on the MOU and the negotiations process, I'd like to introduce forensic attorney and our great partner, Eris Delianis, who has been an integral partner to the 3 school districts as we navigated this complex negotiation. He'll provide some more detailed summary as well as some insights, and then he and I are happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thanks for being here, Eris.
Thank you. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here this evening. Let's start with the agenda. What I'm hoping to cover is really a key timeline of events. Randy Reckless, the village manager, did a very nice job on Monday summarizing the MOU and a presentation that he had done. I want to focus really on 3 particular sections of the MOU that are of keen interest to the school districts. We'll talk about sort of what the next steps are here. I will provide a legislative update. You know, as you know, we've been working very closely with John Dunn and Matt Glavin from Cozen O'Connor. They are the lobbyists acting jointly on behalf of all 3 school districts. So they've provided some written comments that I'll go over as well, and then answer any questions that we've got. So really, you know, here's the old Arlington Park, our friend that was there for decades that everybody was familiar with. And then this is the plan that was put out by the Bears back in really, it was kind of summer of '22 roughly. You can see how the property is laid out. This is the imagery that we have. The stadium would be up in that northwest triangular piece, and then there's Salt Creek running north to south, and the rest would be a mixed district of commercial, retail, museum, Hall of Fame, fitness, the metro station there, et cetera. So the density of the residential as presented in the drawings that we've seen is significant and would generate, based on district estimates, like 350 to 400 students, so not an insignificant number if it were ultimately built out as it is, and that would clearly be a multi-year process. Here's the key timeline, and the one thing I want to emphasize is the whole approach that the 3 school districts have taken here has always been driven by how are the districts to have the financial resources for both providing education on an operational level. If there is a large number of students, where does the money come from for capital improvements, whether that's one classroom addition or a whole new school building. So that's really been the primary focus. So as far as the timeline is concerned, the initial really news that broke, so to speak, was really in the fall of '21 when it was reported that the Bears had put the site under contract. It's 326 acres. It's got 2 highway exits. It's got a metro stop. It's a remarkable site. In April of '22, Dr. Hines from District 15 sent an initial inquiry to the mayor of Arlington Heights, really focused exclusively on, hey, what's going to be happening here? Do we need to be thinking about the presence of a TIF district? What is the potential student generation? She then followed up in July of that year with an additional letter asking similar questions. And then there was the presentation at Hersey High School that probably some of you attended as well. That was a big deal with Ted Phillips, the president of at the time of the Bears, George McCaskey, a very thorough presentation. And then there was the closing in February of 2023. They paid $197 million. There was a big meet and greet meeting in April of '23 at Kimball Hill School, which is one of the District 15 facilities, where the representatives of the 3 school districts, the village, and the Bears were all there. That was a very positive meeting. Clearly it helps to, people seeing each other and putting faces and names together. And then the next part of this was August, the village attorney for Arlington Heights circulated a draft MOU. So that was really like 17 months ago when we saw the first version of this document. We had a meeting in November of '23 with the districts and the village officials at a District 15 facility. The superintendents met with Bears officials at Hallis Hall in January of '24. We had a big meeting in this room with the Bears also in January of '24. And then really the last big group meeting was October of this year, where we went through the last salient points of the MOU and nailed it down as a final document that you're being presented with this evening. So I've hit the key dates, but there were many, many meetings where Dr. Rowe and Dr. Small and Dr. Hines would sit down with Randy Reckless or with the mayor of Arlington Heights, or talking to Kevin Warren and working through some of the issues. So these are the highlight dates. There were many, many events happening sort of in the background as well. But let's look at, I want to focus on Section 4. Section 4 deals with residential development, which is a primary concern of the school districts. And as Dr. Rose said, the MOU provides for full, the coverage of the full per pupil cost from every pupil who is living in the development there and attending a school of either any of the 3 school districts. So those students' costs will be covered by the property taxes generated at that facility. That cost won't be spread out to other property owners in the community. If student generation is significant, there's also provisions, 6 funding sources for capital costs. So that could be a classroom, it could be an addition, it could be an entire new building. That is sort of an unknown at this point because the residential piece is very much in formation. The next section that's important is the use of tax increment financing. So the use of tax increment financing, and it says it in the MOU, is very much not favored for the stadium portion. That wouldn't be a very viable tool for economic development in the stadium portion, and it absolutely cannot be used if there is both a stadium and a pilot in place. If there is going to be a TIF where the stadium is located, The approval process is by weighted voting of the members of the Joint Review Board. So when a TIF is created, a Joint Review Board is composed of the schools, the park district, the library, municipality. Normally, it's one entity, one vote. And normally, it's only a recommending body. But under the terms of the MOU, if there is a TIF where the stadium is located, it will be weighted voting. And the school districts, generally speaking, and in this community as well, would have more than 50% of the vote. So it would be a very much a collaborative undertaking. And given the scope of the project, you would expect there to be complete community buy-in among the affected taxing districts.
Iris, last night at 15, the board member asked about why not a TIF? So do you want to explain that a little bit while you're on the subject of TIF?
Yeah, absolutely, Alva. So, so with a TIF district, the full amount of taxes need to be paid in. So if a stadium has a fair cash value of $2 billion, and then it has an assessed value of $500 million, equalized $1.5 billion, it's a very large tax bill. All those taxes have to be paid in twice a year, first and second installment. Those taxes would not go to the school districts. They would go into the TIF increment. So it doesn't really benefit the schools to have that, and it makes it financially cumbersome to even function with that sort of a tax burden. What the pilot does is it freezes a base amount, and I'll get to it, but I can talk about it now. It freezes a base amount where sort of your regular property taxes are applied, the base amount of taxes. Above that is a negotiated pilot payment in lieu of taxes. So the developers, the bears, whatever the case may be, would have to reach an agreement with the school districts, and the agreement on the pilot payment is also with weighted voting by the local review board, which gives you very much a full seat at the table in what that ultimately will look like. So that's if there's TIF at the stadium. If there's TIF that it does not include the stadium, this is also an enhanced voting requirement. It's got to be a majority vote of the districts present. Normally, like I said, with a TIF district, even if every member of the Joint Review Board votes no, the municipality can still move forward with the project. Here, they've got to get a positive majority vote if there's TIF in the non-stadium portion of the development. So that's section 5A, which is hugely important to the school districts. 5B is the section on pilot. And again, one of the commitments the school districts are making with the village and the bears is to jointly cooperate to promote pilot legislation. And that's where the Cozen O'Connor team is going to play an instrumental role. They are heavily engaged in that world, and they will be looking out for your interest in making sure that the legislation is the way we are hoping it will be. Part of any pilot will be a required pilot incentive agreement. So, as I mentioned a moment ago, the pilot incentive agreement has to be approved via weighted voting. So again, the school districts have a full seat at the table on that. There's 4 key aspects of the pilot incentive agreement. One, what is that base year? When does the pilot start? Does it start in 2027? Does it start in 2030? That's negotiated through the agreement. What is the base assessment amount? Is it X, Y? That's all part of it. What is the amount of the annual payment above your normal property taxes? And then how are the capital needs of the 3 school districts addressed? Those are the 4 key ingredients in that pilot incentive agreement. And again, they are determined based on the weighted voting of the local review board. The last part of this agreement that I think is hugely important is the agreement has been described, and I've read it. It's called a property tax settlement, and that is part of this thing, but it's really only part of it. So the key components from the school district's perspective of how do you account for the cost of new student generation and capital needs, how are TIFs going to work, how is pilot going to work. But on the property tax piece, this is what we've got. And I thought it's important to have a history of the market value. So when Arlington Park was an operating race course, the value there, market value, was only around $33 million, which was a remarkably favorable assessment for them. In 2022, the Churchill Downs was still the owner and they were paying the taxes. They agreed to a market value of $95 million in their last full year of ownership. In 2023, there was a hearing before the Cook County Board of Review. The Board of Review is charged with setting the assessments and market values on properties every year when people appeal to them. They are most of those folks are certified Illinois assessment officials. This is their bread and butter work. They landed at a market value of $125 million. In 2023, remember, the property was improved up until just December. There was a grandstand, there were all sorts of dormitories and other buildings on the site. As of January 1 of 2024, the property is vacant land. All the demolition work was completed as of December 15th. There is one small maintenance building still on the site, and that's just used to house like a tractor and some other equipment to maintain the vacant land. So for 2024, the agreement is keep the value at $125 million, but at now the vacant land level of assessment, which is 10%. And there's no arguing that it's not vacant land for 2024. That is an accurate way of characterizing the property. And then for the next 3 years, the assessment years 25, 26, and 27, these are the years the Bears, if they move forward here, will get all their studies completed. They will get their land entitlements completed. They'll get zoning for the property. The property will stay at that $125 million as vacant land. But keep in mind how the Cook County property system works. It's a triennial system, so the 25 value will be determined as of a date in less than 3 weeks. January 1 of 2025 is literally 3 weeks from yesterday. And then, as you know, with your homes and maybe business properties your own, that the value generally stays the same for all 3 years of the triennial. So whatever the determination is, the $125 million as of 1/1/25, that would hold for the tri, which is how most every other property in Cook County is treated. If they are moving forward, it would be subject to adjustments depending on progress in the zoning and the entitlement process. But those are the 3 sections that I think merited some additional conversation, just to further elaborate on why this document is addressing the needs of the school districts in this whole process. So this is material from Cozen O'Connor. Neither John Dunn or Matt were able to be here tonight, but basically sort of the highlights from them are the Illinois General Assembly is in the final days of its 2-year cycle. There's a lame duck session scheduled to start on January 2nd, run through January 7th. On January 8th, a new 104th General Assembly will be inaugurated. That kicks off the spring session, which will go through May 31st. So any prior legislation, you may remember Senator Gillespie's mega project bill. You may remember Representative Moylan's kind of modified mega project bill. Those bills all sort of come to rest, and they would need to be reintroduced in the 104th General Assembly. Now, the team at Cozen is meeting regularly with legislators, including the leadership in the House and Senate. That's what they're doing on your behalf. They're also regularly in contact and working with the lobbyists at the Village of Arlington Heights, and frankly working closely with the lobbyists for the Village of Arlington Heights. And then the plan for the upcoming session is ensure that the school district's needs are met in any legislation that's introduced. If you read the Cranes article earlier this week, there was very much of a sort of cool reception in the upcoming legislative session to any type of public funding for privately owned athletic stadiums. So that's essentially what we're talking about here. Given that it's a tough budget year with a projected deficit, it'd be harder for that to happen. And then the Cozen folks are always talking to the city of Chicago. They know what's going on in terms of rumors of different sites, Lakefront, Michael Reese, et cetera, and they'll be keeping everyone apprised on that. So that's it. If there are questions, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Board members? Go ahead.
Thank you very much for your presentation, very informative. So I understand, this isn't about the Bears coming to Arlington Heights or not. This is about protecting our district, our students. And it sounds like this MOU seems to cover a lot of those areas where if there's housing built in the area, that private company will be paying for those students if they need to attend any of the 3 school districts. including
That is
214.
correct, yes. It would be, and it wouldn't be, I think you said the company, it would be sort of a combination of whatever normal property taxes are, impact fees, TIF distribution, pilot payment, et cetera, yes.
All right, so the students who would be attending 214, for instance, would be protected because they would have funds that wouldn't have to come out of additional budgets here or anything like that?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, and then if there's a certain amount of those students, then there would be funding provided to our district or whatever district those students are attending for additional building accommodations, things like that?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so it really sounds like it's the MOU is designed to protect our future students and our district.
Accurate, yes.
Okay, so when I look at that, and that sounds really great, but I still hear a lot of concerns from the public. So if we don't do this, what are we at risk, other than everything that I've just said?
So if the district does not go with the MOU, so you would, so let's use TIF as an example. So let's say the project moves forward, there's no protections like we've got here, and let's say the village wanted to do a TIF district, not say on the stadium, but anywhere on the site. You would have to be living with the normal, very municipality favoring TIF statute, which is you get one vote. You may have 40% of the tax rate, but your vote is equal to, say, a taxing body that has a tax rate at 2% or of the overall tax bill. Even if the Joint Review Board were to reject and find the development not eligible as a TIF, it doesn't matter. The village can simply go forward with a 3/5 majority rather than a simple majority. You would have no protections like you do now for students that are generated and attending your schools. You would have no possibility for capital improvements if you did need to do, say, in addition to a building or add a classroom here and there, things like that. So this is covering those essential pieces that are directly affecting the school districts. That was the goal from day one. That's what we've got.
All right, thank you very much.
Anyone else? Mr. Dessling?
I've known you since I've been on the board, and I really appreciate every time I hear a presentation by you, because it's always specific, it's always detailed, and it's always at a level that I understand. And I really appreciate that, and you've done a great job with the school districts and getting to the point where it's at. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, Eris, I appreciate your discussion tonight. I did attend the Village of Arlington Heights meeting on Monday, as well as District 15's board meeting last night, where they approved the memo. There weren't any comments last night at District 15, but when I was at the Village of Arlington Heights, seems to be I don't know what the word is, about school districts. And, you know, we're asking for a lot. But I think that hopefully with people, the word greedy comes to mind. I've heard that in the public. And it's not that. It's just that we need to protect what our future is going to be here with all these students. And I really appreciate the understanding about a pilot. Now I get it. You know, Randy kind of breezed over it a little bit, but that's why I wanted you to talk about why a TIF is not possible. Randy just said it wouldn't work. Well, you didn't tell us why it didn't work. So, well, why it won't work, excuse me. But after Monday's village meeting, I called Dr. Rowe and I said, okay, I got some ideas about this legislation. And so we're talking about getting other people involved in this and for it to move forward, because if the pilot doesn't go through, what happens with this MOU?
So it does allow for TIF on the stadium. The language specifically says the TIF is not favored, but you could have, and again, it would happen only if the weighted voting Joint Review Board were to to move forward and approve it. So it would have to be designed in such a way that it would not have an adverse effect on the school districts. And so just kind of imagining what that would look like in the absence of pilot, there would be adequate funding for every student generated, which we already have in here. There would have to be a provision for capital improvements. There might be guaranteed surplus payments that would come out, which is allowed under the TIF Act, TIF eligible expenditures for other capital improvements. So if you didn't have a pilot, that's probably what it would look like.
Right, right, and I think that's what the public needs to understand.
And I think, if you don't mind me interjecting, what's important to really note is, we said this is a foundation. It is a foundation. There's a long, long way to go. Speaker Welch and Governor Pritzker have been very, very open and very, very blunt about the temperature in Springfield for public subsidy for a stadium. That's a huge hurdle. We pale in comparison to that hurdle. There has been, private equity conversation has not occurred on the Bears side of things. The Bears haven't even said they're coming. And if they don't, that's their choice. But if they do, this provides the framework, as Mrs. Rauch said. We are protected in terms of if it is student generating, we're protected even if the pilot agreement or whatever legislation comes down that we may not have a control in. If the legislation says this is what you get, take it or leave it, we're covered if it sends students. So it's an enormous protection for us if it generates kids. And again, it's the foundation. There's so much work to be done. We step to the side until, and that the village and the Bears talk about impact and the metro station and traffic and the traffic study. People are waiting with bated breath for that. So there's a lot of conversation that still has to occur, and the village still has to say, stamp yes. We're ready for you to come. They have a lot of questions that they need answered. This protects us, so we can now be supporters of the two to work that out from the sideline.
Thank you. Any other discussion, board members?
I want to address something that you kind of said, Ned, is when we talk about the community, there's always two sides right now. There's the side that says that the school districts are being greedy and that's why the Bears are not coming. And there's also a side that says that the Bears are fleecing us. And part of the problem, which you kind of showed in one of your slides there, is that the property tax process is so confusing. I mean, it's hard to believe that the value of that land went up when there was nothing on it. When it was a viable racetrack, the property taxes were a lot less. That to me is just a head scratcher. And then it really poses part of the problem is that the property taxes for us are very important because that's how we operate as a school district. But while the Bears want certainty in their taxes, for me as a board member, I want certainty too on our legal expenses. And that's the one thing we really haven't talked about is that, the Bears appealed their 2023 taxes and it's still ongoing. And we're paying legal expenses that we shouldn't have to pay. But we're just going to do that dance continuously if we don't do the MOU. The Bears will just come back and appeal the year after year after year, and we'll have to hire you, Aries, no offense, and pay more money that we need for our capital projects. It's really important. There's a lot of things you said tonight that I really support in the MOU. You pointed out where it really can help us as a district and provide some security and some peace of mind. But like many in the audience, many in the village, I have reservations too. And the reservations are threefold. Number one, we really need the traffic and impact study. That's number one. Number two, which really has not been talked about at all, it's just kind of gone flies under the radar, and that is metro station. We've heard from legislators at a recent dinner that the biggest thing in the state budget next year is the transit fiscal cliff that's happening for the Metro, CTA, and the RTA. And, from the racetrack perspective, that metro station was a gold mine because people just get on that, take it to the track, go in. If the Bears do build a stadium, even if they have their residential or the retail, that metro station is important to the success of that project. And if the Metro doesn't have the money and we don't have that station, that's going to make that traffic stuff even more of a nightmare. And then last but not least, it's the student population study. I heard on Monday where Randy said that it was 46 students from a big project in downtown. And it didn't say 46 high school students, he just said 46 students in total. And you just pointed out that it might be 300 for this project. So we really don't know. And we need to know what the numbers are, and District 15 is even more important for them. So those are three things that I have reservations about. I'm sure others probably do too. Maybe in the audience, maybe at this table, but those are the reservations I have about the MOU, is that we really need to have those three things get addressed at some point for us to know really what we're facing down the line. And a lot of it comes from what the Bears going to do with their property. So,
Mr. Fierro, I'm glad you raised the points that you raised, because it's two important points that have circulated around that we might as well take the opportunity just to clear. You know, Mr. Reckless on Monday did say 46 or 42 students.
Yeah.
The 450 or 400 student number that Eris mentioned, and we've mentioned consistently from the beginning, is based on, if you want to go back to the photo of the proposed property, is based on that image. And based on that image, District 15 at the onset of this, I can't remember the name of the firm that they engaged with.
Johnson Research Group.
Was it?
Johnson Research Group.
Johnson Research
yeah.
Group took this image and, based on their experience, projected 350 to 400 students from this area. So it is very raw and not exceptionally accurate, but if this is all we have, they took a stab at what can we expect if we are talking about a student generator. So that's where that number came from. So that's really important. And because Randy's right, the downtown Arlington Heights sends about 46 students to our school districts. 25 of them are District 214 students. Very few students given the size of that development. And what the village has said and committed to, that they will only zone this area for some of that condo, maybe townhome, but not single-family homes, which is more likely to be student generating. They're predicting that it will produce similar numbers of students as downtown Arlington Heights. But none of us actually know that. Right. So that's why it's so important for us to have these conversations, and why it's so valuable for the MOU to reflect that however many students are generated, that we're taking care of, or we're made whole. And then the other point that you made that I think is incredibly valuable, because this has taken the media has really loved to tout this as a property tax settlement, and it's a property tax issue. This MOU is so much more than property taxes. That is a tiny piece of this big puzzle. But what's really important is we as the school district do not set the property value. That is done by the Cook County assessor. And that's been lost in this conversation the entire time. You know, we intervene because out of due diligence of protecting our taxpayers and our resources, when especially a major corporate entity like this appeals their taxes, we do it with everyone. It's not just because it's the Bears. So, but we do not set property value. It's a very important note. We merely respond and react to Mr. Kage's assessment. Thank you.
Yeah, I meant to say that. It's been at least 2 decades since we started appealing taxes.
Yeah, it would have been probably in 1997. That's when PTAB's jurisdiction was extended to Cook County. That's right.
Right,
Yeah.
and we set a level of 300,000, and then they started going below that, and we gave the authority to appeal even like to 280 or something. So appealing taxes with us is not a big deal, because we've been doing it for almost 3 decades.
Yeah, that's right.
And when we are successful, all the other taxing bodies on your tax bill benefits from us being successful in intervening in an appeal.
That's right, Alva. That's correct,
Yeah.
yes.
So another thing people probably don't know, but one of the trustees Monday night talked about that the impact study, and they have 60 days from something. I forget what it is.
Yeah, the trigger date is when the Board of Review finalizes the 24 assessment at the $125 million, because what the assessor did in 2024 is he bumped the value up from the 125 the board had set it at in 2023 up to about 170 million. So the agreement would, by agreement, and the Board of Review has all the documentation, would bring it back to 125 again. Once that is adjudicated, then that triggers their obligation to move forward with these studies.
And if I remember correctly, the hearing that we had with them last year was in February, so
Right,
it
this
should
one
be
is
early
probably gonna be-
2025.
Or even, it could be as early as next week, because they're moving faster on Palatine Township, yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Raise this one to the top of the scrolls.
That would be nice. Okay. There's a motion and a second on the table. Call the roll.
Fiorito,
Yes.
Heineman,
Aye.
Dessling,
Yes.
Welk. Aye. Walker
Yes.
and Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. 1212, approval of change, Eris, thank you very much.
Thank
I
you,
really
Eris.
appreciate it. 1212, approval of board policy changes. Motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Call the roll.
Walker,
Yes.
Dessling,
Yes.
Fiorito,
Yes.
Heineman,
Aye.
Welk. Aye. And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Motion and a second for 1213, please.
So moved.
Second.
Dr. Rowe, you want to do a little explanation for this? Thank you.
I do. This is one that I have been excited about for a little while, I think it's a big deal. The data sharing agreement before you is a milestone in our relationship with our sender districts. When I was hired, not in the interview, but in one of the early conversations we had, actually it was during goal setting, in the very first go-around, you asked me and emphasized the importance of strengthening our relationship with our sender districts. That's something that I have not only taken and run with, but I've enjoyed that process, because we have 7 very eager, wonderful superintendents and school districts that are eager to collaborate with us. So this agreement formalizes the sharing of our student data back and forth with those sender districts in support of improvements for all districts. Sender districts have expressed the desire to monitor performance of students that they graduate and send to us through their freshman year to identify the effectiveness of their programs and instruction. District 214 is eager to dive deeper into core instructional preparation and performance to better prepare for students as they enter our schools, and then collaboratively it'll allow us to identify areas where we might be able to improve and collaborate to strengthen those ties and create a more consistent entry point for all students in our districts, for everyone to succeed. And area-wide growth and improvement is a step that I believe this will get us towards. So all six of our sender districts are here with an approved intergovernmental agreement, and your approval will allow us to move forward. They have all approved at their respective school boards.
Board members?
Dr. Rowe, I always worry about the information that's shared, and so are our students protected? Like, what kind of information will be shared?
Right. Districts will only see their student data that they have sent on to us, and that student data is shared via cohort. It's not on an individual basis. It's more grade level, academic strand related data.
trends.
So it is.
Okay, thank you.
And vice versa. Individual students, we contact them on an individual basis for students of specific concern for IEP 504, or students we should be paying particular interest in.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Really happy about this, Dr. Rowe. When we did the agreement with the math and all the districts came on board, I think this is another step with intergovernmental cooperation, and I really appreciate it. Call roll.
Fiorito,
Yes.
Heineman,
Aye.
Dessling,
Yes.
Welk.
Aye.
Walker,
Yes.
Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. Next is the 1221. Can I have a motion and a second, please?
So moved. Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Discussion? Please call the roll.
Dessling,
Yes.
Fiorito,
Yes.
Heineman,
Aye.
Welk.
Aye.
Walker,
Yes.
Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
1222. Motion and a second, please.
Second.
Discussion? Please call the roll.
Dessling,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Fiorito,
Yes.
Heineman,
Aye.
Welk.
Aye.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. 1223. Motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Dr. Rowe, you want to give a little bit update on this one?
Actually, I'll kick it over to Mr. Keeley.
Oh, okay.
Hello, thank you. Yes, for our insurance cooperative, the Secondary School Cooperative Risk Management Program, or affectionately known as SCRIMP in our world, that includes Leiden 212, Maine 207, Palatine 211, Glenbrook 225 in our district. it's a risk-sharing pool that we are a part of, and the motion before you here, or the recommendation before you, is to add our insurance supervisor, Kelly Janis, as the alternate representative for the co-op, and that would replace our former director of finances.
Okay. Discussion? Call the roll.
Rauch.
Aye.
Dessling.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Walker.
Yes.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. 1224, motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Mr. Keeley, anything?
This is just an action item to affirm that we are in compliance with Board Policy 4:82, that I'm designated as the bond record-keeping compliance officer for the district. I'm affirming that we are in compliance with all record-keeping and reporting measures for our bonds between 2016 and 2020. And it is essentially just an annual action that we do have to take.
Discussion? Call the roll.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Dessling.
Yes.
Rauch.
Aye.
Walker.
Yes.
Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. 1225, motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any other discussion about the audit? Appreciate it. Thank you again. Call the roll.
Dessling.
Yes.
Rauch.
Aye.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Walker.
Yes.
Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
1226, please. Motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. We had the presentation earlier about the tax levy. Any other discussion? Call the roll.
Dessling.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Rauch.
Aye.
Walker.
Yes.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. 1231, motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Walker.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Dessling.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Rauch.
Aye.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. 1241, motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Yulee.
Thank you. We are seeking approval for 2 international trips for this upcoming June. The first trip is the Rolling Meadows High School Music Department, and they offer an experience every other school year. Roughly 60 students will be traveling to Ireland from June 1st to June 7th. And the second is Elk Grove High School for, believe it or not, their 36th annual exchange experience in Japan.
Yeah, cool. Questions, board member? Call the roll.
Heineman.
Aye.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Dessling.
Yes.
Rauch.
Aye.
Walker.
Yes.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Let's hope so. Thank you. 12:05, you have announcements, Ms. Kendrick.
I do. I have a great announcement. The Village of Buffalo Grove has received funds as part of the settlement agreement related to the opioid crisis. These funds are authorized for use in community mental health and substance abuse initiatives. And the village has chosen counseling services through Omni Youth Services, and District 214 is an appropriate and necessary use of the funds to support the students and families of Buffalo Grove High School. The village will allocate an annual amount of $58,000 over a 4-year period to Omni for a licensed professional counselor in-house at Buffalo Grove High School. The counselor will provide mental health and substance abuse support tailored to the needs of the students and families. Principal Jeff Wardle and I had the opportunity to attend the village board meeting, and we're happy to hear the comments from both the BG Police Department and the village board members. They were all grateful for this partnership and thrilled with the use of this funding. The new counselor has been secured and will begin at BG next week.
Great.
Terrific.
Great news, thank you. Oh. Go ahead, Tim. Did you have another update?
Okay, yeah, we have a brief business services update that it just looks like it didn't show up on the agenda, but I just want to give a quick December 24 board update, and we've taken all your time this evening. I'll make this brief. I want to acknowledge the Payroll and Benefits Department for their work in setting up the 2025 calendar year to ensure that we're in compliance with the IRS changes. And then the other item is something that we're looking to discuss with the board this evening. As you are aware, our food service director is retiring this year, and we recognize that's an opportunity for us as a administration. Every time a position is vacated, we've taken the opportunity to look and see what our best solution for that is. In this particular case, we're here tonight to ask the board's authority, I guess, to do an RFP to seek a consultant for this one position. We feel that this gives us the opportunity to look at what the market might offer, but certainly won't preclude us from a direct hire if the results of the RFP aren't favorable to the Board of Education. Our intention is to compare this model to a traditional direct hire for the position, as I said, and the review of the results will be made by the administration and brought back to the board. Our goal is to provide the best program for our students. One thing I want to be very clear on that we've talked internally about is this particular action. Number one, the board's not taking action tonight. We're merely seeking further data, but it would only impact this one position that is a retiree position. No other employees would be directly impacted by it. I met with our food service director earlier this week, and I met with the managers from all 7 sites as well to assure them the same, and we had really good dialogue. There was a lot of concern amongst them, and I asked them 2 things. Number one, patience, of course, and trust, but to share this information with their teams as well, so that it would be clear that this wasn't a wall-to-wall outsourcing conversation that we're having with the board, that we are looking at just the one position. And I think that's all that I have in the memo, so I'd be happy to
Before you
answer
throw it to
questions.
any questions, I want to just add to that. Thank you for that. I have some clarity as to our why, and it really enhance and hammer the why here. As Mr. Keeley said, anytime we have an administrative opening or an opening period, we kind of evaluate, is it still relevant? Should we replace it as is? Should we reevaluate our course of action? And with this particular position, what we're after here is we're after information of what potentially could be. With a completely in-house program, we are not a member of the National School Lunch Program, meaning we do not have the same restrictions for what a type A lunch is, meaning if a student gets a general free and reduced lunch or a general type A lunch, it's a set meal. And we have total freedom and flexibility for what that can be. If we get the right numbers and the right partner, it is possible we could increase the quality of that meal because of the purchasing power of a larger entity other than a standalone school district, as well as the menuing and partnership of a larger business that this is what they do. There's the potential that we could not only save money, but also generate additional revenue with the a la carte items that purchasing power could bring to us, that would be able to infuse dollars into our food service program to buy new equipment in our kitchens and start to turn over our cafeterias and enhance those spaces with the revenue that it's self-generating. Again, we are after information at this point. Based on whatever information we get from this RFP, we would come back here with a full report for a discussion and any recommendation based on what we learn. We may not recommend to go a different route, but if we don't look, we won't know. And again, as Mr. Keeley stated, the number one thing in any RFP that we send to these potential partners would be that our employees are District 214 employees, they remain District 214 employees. It is solely for the director position.
Thank you. Board members? Anybody prepared to talk about this tonight? Go ahead.
Have we looked at our numbers? What are students how many lunches have been bought, like before COVID to now? What are our numbers looking like? Our student, I mean, we have the block program. Have they gone down because more students? I know when I visit the schools, I was surprised to hear that there were 2 students walk me into a lunchroom and they said, oh, I haven't seen the cafeteria yet this year because they're going out, which concerns me that they're leaving campus. They could stay there, have a quick bite if we, if there was different options or whatever, and stay there. They're safer still on the campus as opposed to traveling off-site during prime time, and possibly still studying while on campus. So have we looked at those kind of numbers?
Yeah, so to compare to the numbers prior to the pandemic, during the pandemic, and current would be very difficult, because you may recall that the school district went back on the National School Lunch Program during the pandemic because the government did subsidize for free meals for all. And so that did change a little bit, and we have shifted back to our program. But, unlike a traditional National School Lunch Program where you're looking at a per meal or a meal equivalent rate, we truly do work in dollars and cents. And so I have to commend Christine Froley, our director, and her managers. They run a very solid business, and it is self-sufficient, and that has been consistent. It allows us to run the program, but it does limit, as Dr. Rose said, it could potentially limit our ability to expand. One of the challenges they see is that, depending on the campus, there's certain campuses where there's a lot of options very close by for a student to go off campus and get those meals. And so it is a complex equation for sure. And again, this is an opportunity for us to look at what's available. And as I said to our staff that I met with this week, this isn't a direct reflection on your performance. We're looking to supplement and make the right decision moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to thank Tim for putting this together, because we got a lot of emails. I had somebody approach me yesterday at the strategic plan committee asking if we were outsourcing the food service, and I knew nothing about it. I even went back out the board book to think I missed something, so I'm glad you recognize the fact that it wasn't on the agenda, but you did state exactly what's happening, and it's nice to know that it'll give some people at least peace of mind to know that we're not looking to outsource the entire group right now. Thank you.
And I just want to add, or in the future. I just don't see that being a strategy we've looked at. And one thing I failed to mention, Ms. Rauch, when I had my informal meetings with members, third-party vendors in the market, one of the KPIs they look at is the revenue per pupil. And there's a peer district, the Lake Forest district, that went with a model similar to what we're looking to seek or looking to evaluate. And their per pupil since 2017 has almost quadrupled per pupil revenue. And so, again, it is about the money, because that money goes back into the program. By being self-sufficient, that money gets reinvested in the program, whether it be equipment, to the staff as well. I know that the board approved appropriate increases for that staff this year. We look at it as an opportunity for enhancements. And so, again, looking at our per pupil dollars right now versus peer districts that aren't on the National School Lunch Program, we certainly are lagging.
Okay, thank you for that update. Should move on? Dr. Lopez? Oh, wait a minute. I need a motion and a second, please. Sorry. For 1261, intergovernmental agreement with Arlington Heights Library. A motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Dr. Lopez?
Yeah, this is just, we currently have an agreement between Hersey High School and Arlington Heights Memorial Library, an intergovernmental agreement that allows educator library cards. We just want to extend that to our Forest View staff that are working in the schools throughout the district so they can access the resources at that library, specifically some software that allows students to learn about skilled trades. And so they'll get free access with this intergovernmental agreement.
Discussion? 2 IGAs and 1 MOU in one night. Yeah, you're really rolling here. Call the roll, please.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Rauch.
Aye.
Dessling.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Walker.
Yes.
And Kreutzer.
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Before I take a motion in closed session, I just want to wish everyone for happy holidays if you celebrate a holiday. I hope staff takes the time to rewind or whatever, be with family, have a good time, and really appreciate all the work you do. And to everyone out there, just stay safe and have a happy new year. So I need a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of discussing the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in an educational setting, or legal counsel for the public body. Motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
We will be in closed session for not that long, okay. Whatever that is. But we will have, there will be action afterwards. Call the roll.
Walker.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Dessling.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Rock.
Aye.
And Kreutzer.
Aye, thank you. closed session, and we have one action item. Mr. Walker, please.
I move that we approve, a motion to approve the Human Resources 14.1, 14.1.1, approval of personal transaction reports for tonight.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Walker.
Yes.
Dessling.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Rauch. Aye. And Kreutzer. Motion carries.
Aye, thank you. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
There we go. Dessling.
Why not? Yes.
And
Aye.
Fiorito.
Want to stay here?
Rauch. Aye. Walker.
Yes.
And Kreutzer.
Aye, thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Clear? Tell me we're clear.